Boker Tov. Today's Daf Yomi is Sanhedrin Daf Nun Aleph, Sanhedrin 51, and we're going to start on the bottom of Nun Amabeis, 8 lines from the bottom. The Gemara is discussing the idea that there are two psukim that refer to adultery. There are two psukim that refer to adultery that the Gemara is discussing. One pasuk just says that a daughter of a Kohen, if she is adulterous, she gets sreifa, she gets burning, which is more severe than if she was not the daughter of a Kohen. Then there's another pasuk that says that if there's a girl who's in arusa, she's just betrothed, and she commits adultery, she gets stoning. So we don't know what is the daughter of a Kohen when she gets sreifa. Is that when she's fully married or when she's betrothed? So the Gemara says, let's analyze these verses. It says, "Ubas ish kohen ki sechel." When the daughter of a Kohen, when she starts that, and then the next word is nus, when she has adultery. But says the pasuk, and we're going to see from this price of 6 halachos. Yachol afilu cholas Shabbos. I might think she gets sreifa even if she just even for a different sin, like desecrating the Shabbos. How Malomar was nus. And the pasuk says for adultery, b'chilulin shebes akosim medaber. When it is something having to do with adultery, then she gets burning. Yachol afilu penuya. I might think second halacha. I might think, let's say she's not married and she has relations with another man. I might think that the daughter of a Kohen gets sreifa. That's what it says in this pasuk about sreifa. Nemer kan avia, the word avia, her father. V'nemer lalan avia, and it says about the daughter of an arusa who gets skiwash. It also says the word avia. Malalan nusim zikas habal. Just like the pasuk by the arusa refers to a girl who's somewhat married. Afkan also here is nusim zikas habal. Here too, it has to be referring to prohibition where she's married. Third possibility, or maybe it says avia by the streifa teach us that if she's mizana with her father, Rahman al-Islam, then she's going to get streifa. But every other man does not get that punishment. They would get the regular punishment. She would get the regular punishment of strangulation. So when it says at the end of the pasuk, it's avia hi mechaleles, avi omer kol adam. That comes to include every man who she's with. She gets sreifa. She gets sreifa if she's daughter of Kohen. Fourth halacha, hamani mekayim avia. So what did we do about the fact that the first says her father in both places? Nemer kan avia v'nemer lalon avia, to teach us malalon's nusim zika sabal, afkan's nusim zika sabal. So that's the halacha that we saw, that it's if she is mizana while she's married, that's how she gets the sreifa. So if that's the case, when it says the other verse about getting stoning, that's referring to a girl who's a nara, she's a maiden, and she is arusa, she's betrothed. So maybe also over here, Avkan nara v'hi arusa. So also maybe also over here, it's referring to a girl who's a nara while she's betrothed. But nara v'hi nesua. But how do I know it also refers to if she's fully married, or bogeres if she's an adult v'hi arusa and she's just betrothed, or bogeres v'hi nesua, or she's an adult and she's fully married, even in a circumstance where she's much older, but she's adulterous and she's daughter of a Kohen, how do we know that she gets raped? Ubas Kohen, Mikol Makom. So it says the daughter of a Kohen, regardless of her age. So if that's the case, Bas Kohen, Eliyahu, Sheniseis LaKohen, when it says the daughter of a Kohen, this is the fifth halacha. So I only would think that she gets this punishment of streifa if she's fully married to a Kohen. Let's say she's married to a Levite, an Israelite, or an idolater, or lechalel a mamzer in a sin, or if she's married to any of these people who she's prohibited to marry, the chalel, the mamzer in the sin, how do I know that she's still going to get the punishment of streifa? Tamom or bas yish kohen, the daughter of a Kohen, which means afal pisha ina kohenes, even though she's not married to a Kohen, ibis streifa. She's going to get afal pisha ina kohenes, even though she's not married to a Kohen. I just want to pause for a moment. The word idolater is actually a question whether that's the appropriate phrase. because we say that we paskin that the marriage of a Jew to an idolater is not technically speaking a marriage. So therefore, why would she be considered to be adulterous? So that's why some of the commentaries note that the proper text is not idolater. He b'sreifa ve'ein bo ala b'sreifa. So now the sixth halacha says she gets burnt, but the one who is with her, the one who commits adultery with her, does not actually get sreifa. He b'sreifa ve'ein zomamel. We're on Sanhedrin Nun Aleph 54a, 4 lines from the top. She gets burnt. Ve'ein bo ala b'sreifa. She gets burnt, but the one who is with her does not get burnt. The man who is adulterous with the daughter of a Kohen gets the regular punishment of strangulation, not sreifa. He b'sreifa ve'ein zomamel b'sreifa. But also, not only does she get sreifa, but also those who she gets sreifa, but those who falsely testify against her, who would typically get the punishment that they tried to inflict upon her. In this case, they don't get sreifa because the verse says specifically the daughter of a Kohen gets sreifa, but they just get the regular punishment of strangulation. Now we have the coda to the Brisa, which is the opinion of Rabbi Eliezer. Rabbi Eliezer says it's avia b'sreifa, v'schamea b'skila. Her father with burning and her father-in-law with stoning. And again, this is an opaque phrase which the Gemara is going to discuss on Amba Beis. So now we analyze the 6 halachos of the Brisa plus the statement of Rabbi Eliezer. What are the 6 halachos? The first is Amar Mar. We would have thought that when it says in the pasuk she gets burning, that's even in a circumstance where she violates any other halacha, like violating Shabbos. Yachal afil chil Shabbos. I might think even if she violates Shabbos, she gets burning. So the Gemara says, let's reject this Havamina. What are we talking about? Chil Shabbos baskilei. She shouldn't get burning for violating Shabbos. She gets stoning. Amarava Hamani Rabbi Shimon. No, our Brisa follows the position of Rabbi Shimon, who says Sreifa Chamura, that burning is more severe than stoning, and so therefore Sokadai Tachamina, we might have thought to say, hold the Ichner Burachmane Bekahane, since the Torah is stricter by Kohanim than Yisraelim, the Rabbi Bul mitzvahs Yisraelis, the Kohanim have many extra mitzvahs. They have the mitzvah of eating kachim, of not marrying a gerusha or a chalutza, so not becoming tamei. So therefore, Teidom b'sreifa. I might think that if the daughter of a Kohen violates the Shabbos, she gets reifa. Kamashwan, no, she gets stoning. So the Gemara asks the question, Maishna minei didei. Why would we think that she would get burning, whereas her husband or a male Kohen gets stoning? Why would she think she's more severe? The Gemara, why would we think she's more severe? So the Gemara says, you might have thought, the Israeli Shabbos legabe avoda. The Israeli Shabbos legabe avoda. He kiven the Israeli Shabbos legaba ematidom b'sreifa. You might have thought that with respect to him, he is not going to get a severe penalty because the Shabbos was permitted for him with respect to doing the service. Meaning to say, he can violate the Shabbos in order to do the avoda in the temple, whereas she, it's never permitted. So therefore, we're going to give her the more severe punishment of sreifa. Kamashwan, we don't say that. Okay, the second halacha is we might have thought that when it says she gets burning, it's even if she's an unmarried woman. Yahu afilu penuya. Even if she's an unmarried woman who's with a man, we might have thought she gets burning. The Gemara says, why would we ever have thought that? Hoas knows ksiv. It says specifically in the pasuk to commit adultery. So clearly she's not adulterous if she's not married. The Gemara says, oh yes, could the Rebbe Eliezer? No, we might have thought this is consistent with the position of Rabbi Eliezer, because what is the position of, not Rabbi Eliezer, that this is consistent with the position of Rabbi Eliezer. Da Amar Panoy Abba Penuya Shelo Shem Ishus Asazon. Rabbi Eliezer is of the position that a single woman who's with an unmarried man creates a category called a zona, which is someone who's prohibited to marry a Kohen. So we might have thought that she would get the severe penalty of burning because it's consistent with the position of Rabbi Eliezer. Third halacha, Eno Omer Avia El Hotzias Kol Adam. Why does it say the word Avia? I might have thought it's to exclude that only if she's mizana with her father does she get sreifa, but if she's with another man, she doesn't get the sreifa. So if that's the case, so the Gemara asks the question: if that's your assumption, that only if she's with her father that she gets burning, That doesn't make sense because my niush is into me'avia. That you're saying that if she's with her father, she gets burning. My area bas kohen, I feel bas Yisrael nami. We say a regular Israelite girl who's with her father would get this streifa penalty. So why would we have specified the daughter of a Kohen getting streifa? So how could we have ever had that assumption that the pasuk might have just been referring to a girl who's with her father who's the Kohen that she gets streifa? Because every girl who's with her father would get streifa. So the Amar Rava, Amar Rav Yitzchak bar Rav Dumi, Asya Hena Hena, Asya Zima Zima. Because as Rava learned that from the Gzera Shava, that it's to teach us that every girl who's with her father gets Sreifa. So the Gemara says Itzdrach. No, you might have thought you needed it because Salkadai Dechamina Kra Lafuke Midarava. You might have thought that the pasuk is telling us it's not like Rava, meaning to say Midagali Rahman Bas Going will Bas Israel. That from the fact that Torah tells us that a Bas Going gets Sreifa, you might have thought a Bas Going gets it and not a Bas Israel. So therefore the pasuk tells us that it says he mechalel to teach us that that she gets sreifa for every adultery, not just with her father. And now we're going to say the fourth halacha, bas kohen. So now is this the fourth or the fifth? So we say this is the fifth halacha. It says bas kohen eliel shenises lekohen. I only know that she gets burnt if she's married to a kohen. Nises lelevel Israel. Let's say she's married to a regular Jew, or and a single mom's over 9. I don't know if she's married to any of these others who are regular prohibitions, and then she commits adultery, she gets burning. Talmud Omar bas ish kohen alpha pisha ina kohenis. So the Gemara says, let's challenge this assumption. Mitshim de intibu lahani rav bas kohen he. Why would we think because she marries any of these other categories, she's not the daughter of a kohen? Visu midi kohenes lakohen. Also, where does it say in the Torah anything about if she's married to a kohen? It doesn't say anything about that. So what's the assumption of the question? The Gemara says the assumption of the question is Salkadai Techamino. You might have thought Kisecha was no Samar Achmana when it says she started to commit adultery, meaning to say, when does she get burnt? Where when does she get burnt? Where this is her first sin. Avoha, even the kamaschala, v'kaima meikara. But these other sins, because these other marriages, like the nas and the mamzer or the chalal, these were prohibited marriages. So since her prohibition happened beforehand, she desecrated herself beforehand. Therefore, I might have thought that she doesn't get burnt under those circumstances. The Amar Maro Bas Kohen Ki Siela Ishzar. Even Shenival apostle. That we know the daughter of a Kohen, when she has relations with somebody who's disqualified her, she's disqualified. Well, what's the problem with marrying a Levi in Yisrael? Levi Yisrael Nami Vishaval Beisavia Kinura. No, we know that we were also might have thought that she doesn't get burnt if she's married to Levi Yisrael, because it says in the pasuk that when she returns to her father's home, she could eat the truma. So then she's married to the Levi and the Israel, she can't eat the truma. So maybe I might have thought I might have thought that she doesn't get the burning under those circumstances because while she's married to them, she can't eat the truva. Kamash Malam, we don't say that. Uduloka Rabbi Meir, and this position is also not like the position of Rabbi Meir. This position that a daughter of a Kohen to a Nasin and Ma'amzer is going to actually get the streifa. We might have thought she doesn't get the streifa, but we say she does. It's not like the position of Rabbi Meir, the Loka Rabbi Meir. How is it not like Rabbi Meir? Because the time we learned in the Bryce about going Shenisis Yisrael v'achot truma, that if it says in the Bryce, the position of Rabbi Meir is that if the daughter of a Kohen, Bas Kohen, she marries an Israelite and she eats the truma, if somebody who's not a Kohen eats from the truma, they pay back the principal plus 1/5. So let's say there's a daughter of a Kohen who marries an Israelite, so she's no longer allowed to eat the truma because she's married to an Israelite, but she eats from the truma. So then she does not pay back the 5th, because since she has the potential to go back to her family, under those circumstances, she would again eat the truma, and so therefore, a mayor is in the position she doesn't eat the truma. And she and we saw the besreifa, and she gets burnt. because she's still considered a Bas Kohen even though she married to an Israelite. Nitza le'acham and apsulin, Mishal is Cameron, B'chomesh, U'misas, and B'chanek, Devar Meir. But Meir's position is, we're on 51.8, 2/3 of the way down. Meir's position is that if she marries someone who's disqualified for her, then she's no longer considered the daughter of a Kohen, and therefore she would have to pay back the 1/5, plus she would no longer get streifa, she would get chenek. So Rabbi Meir is inconsistent with our brisa, because our brisa says if she marries a Levite or Yisrael or Khalil or a Mamzer, if she marries the Khalil or the Mamzer, she still gets streifa because she's the daughter of the Kohen. But Meir says no, she's lost her kahuna status because she can no longer go back to her father's home. Whereas Rabbi was it? Oh, it's the Chachamim disagree with Rabbi Meir, and the Chachamim over Zubazu Mishalas Karen V'Chomesh U'Misasim Estreif. In both cases, she does not pay the 1/5, and her death is with Streif. I mean to say, in both cases, she is retaining the status of the Kohen. Meaning to say, only when does she pay the 5th? If she was never the daughter of a Kohen. Okay, so now we come to the 6th position, the code of the price, which is the position of Rabbi Eliezer. Rabbi Eliezer says, "Esavia b'sreifa v'eschamea b'skila." So what is this opaque phrase? What does this mean? Esavia b'skila v'eschamea. Esavia b'skila v'eschamea. Excuse me. Esavia b'sreifa v'eschamea b'skila. Her father with burning, and her father-in-law with stoning. You see, the daf is not conceptually hard. It's just a lot of verses, and so go slow. So you have to get all the arguments here. So, Maya Savia Veshamia. What does it mean? Her father and her father-in-law. What does that mean? Her father with burning, and her mother and her father-in-law with stoning. What does that mean? Ilima. So the Gemara is going to suggest 4 possibilities. Ilima Savia Me'avia. That Esavia means to say Me'avia. That if she's adulterous with her father, Eschamea Mechamea. And if she's adulterous with her father-in-law. Well, if that's the case, my area Bas Kohen, why do we say the daughter of a Kohen gets streifa? As we already discussed, the Fil Bas Yisrael Nami Bito B'Streifa, the Kalaso B'Skil. We've already said that anybody who's with their father, the punishment is streifa, and anybody who's with their daughter-in-law, the punishment is skila. So this is nothing to do with the daughter of a Kohen. So we reject that. Ela Savia Bereshus Savia, Beschamea Bereshus Chamea. So it means when it says her father, it means that she's still living in her father's home, i.e. she's just betrothed. And when she says with her father-in-law, she's now fully married because she's in her father-in-law's home. So it means to say when she's with her father, she gets reifa. When she's betrothed, she gets reifa. And when she's nesua, she gets skila. Well, that's inconsistent with both positions that we saw before, both the Rabbanon and Rabbi Shimon. Come on, Ikar Rabbanon. The Rabbanon say, Amr nesua yatzo esreifa v'lo arusa. The rabbis are in a position that the daughter of a Kohen who's fully married gets burned, and the arusa gets skila. So that's not like this. And Ikar Rabbi Shimon, if you want to say it's like Rabbi Shimon, he says achas arusa v'achas nesua b'sreifa. He says that both the arusa and the nesua get sreifa, so it's inconsistent. So therefore, v'ikar Rabbi Shimon. Now the Gemara introduces a third position, which we'll get to more on 51b. Amr arusa yatzo esreifa v'lo nesua. Rabbi Shimon's position is that the arusa gets burnt and the nesua gets chenek. So if that's the case, and one is and eschamia cheneku, and with her father-in-law, Rabbi Yishmael's other position, that's not skila, that's strangulation. So how do we answer this brisa? How are we going to explain it? So the Gemara is going to give 4 answers. Shalach Ravin Mishmeid Rabbi Yossi bar Rabbi Chanina Kachi Atzah Shal Mishnah. So Ravin sent the name of Rabbi Yossi bar Chanina. This is how we explain the Mishnah. Olam Karabanan. The Rabbanan. Remember, what did the Rabbanan say? The Rabbanan said that if she gets sreifa, if she's fully married, and if she's betrothed, she gets skila. So how do we explain this? So he says it's karabanan v'achikamar kol shehu amata mimisa savia. Anything that is less severe than the punishment if she would be with her father. Remember, what's her punishment with her father? Is sreifa. And Rabbanan say skila is more severe than sreifa. So anything that's below that, nesua bat Yisrael. That's a regular girl who's married who gets strangulation. Diu nesua bat Yisrael b'chenek. So, because generally speaking, a nesua, a regular Jewess who's married gets strangulation. Hacha b'misa savia b'sreifa. But here in this case, she'll get burnt if she's with her father, because burning is more severe than strangulation. Kol she'u ma'al minisa severe, but anything that's more severe, i.e., stoning, Ma'niu arusa bas Yisrael, a regular betrothed girl gets stoning. Diu arusa bas Yisrael ba'alma beskila. Generally speaking, she gets stoning. Hacha b'misas chamia beskila. Here in this case, with her father-in-law, she'll get stoning. So they're not really adding anything. Rabbi Eliezer, according to this, is just explaining like some of the categories. So that's how he explained it. So Rabbi Yirmiyah, Rabbi Eliezer doesn't say anything about above or below. It's just completely not found in the text of the words. So therefore, Rabbi Yirmiyah says a different approach. Oh, I'm a Rabbi Yirmiyah. Remember, Rabbi Yirmiyah is always very textual. And we saw he got thrown out of the base medrash in Baba Basra before being let back in 100 days later or so. So therefore, he says, Rabbi Shmuel. He says this position, Rabbi Eliezer is holding like Rabbi Shmuel. Remember, Rabbi Shmuel says that the Arusa gets Reifa, and then Nesua gets strangulation. So he says this is like Rabbi Shmuel. Esavia. What does it mean, her father? It means Bershus Avia. While she's in her father's home, I see why she's in Arusa, she gets Reifa. Be'eschamia, meaning to say while she's with her father-in-law, Mechamia Beskila. Okay, so now we have a problem because he's saying that with her father means while she's living in her father's home, and with her father-in-law means she's committing adultery with her father-in-law. So they're just changing the context of the discussion. That's a big problem. And we'll see if the Gemara is going to have a problem with that. The whole Adam Bechanek, and every other person gets strangulation if she's mizana with every other person, she gets strangulation. Now Amarava, wait 1 second. Maishno, why are you distinguishing from the first category where she's living in her father's home to the second case where she's adulterous with her father-in-law? Oh, idi mamish, or idi rishus. You have to be consistent. Amarava la'olam k'Rabbi Shimon. So we're going to say that this statement of Rabbi Eliezer is consistent with Rabbi Shimon. Remember, Rabbi Shimon says she gets sreifa in both categories. The Kosava Rabbi Eliezer Nesua Karusa. And Rabbi Eliezer says that the Nesua is actually going to be like the Arusa. He's changing Rabbi Shimon's position. He's Chad Darga, that it goes up one level. Chad Darga, just Ma Arusa, Chad Darga Maskinu Miskilu Sreifa. Just like in Arusa, if she's an Arusa, daughter of a Kohen, Rabbi Shimon says she doesn't get stoning, she gets burning. So we take her up one level from stoning to burning. Af Nesua, also if she's fully married, Chad Darga Maskinala, so too we'll take her up one level, Mechanek Leskila. So Rabbi Shimon's position is that if she's fully married, she doesn't get burnt. According to Rabbi Eliezer, he's saying she would get strangulation. And in that sense, he's like Rabbi Shimon. Now we bump everybody up one level, so she's going to get stoning if she is fully married. So that's consistent because we're saying that while she's in her father-in-law's home, while she's in her father's home, she gets stoning. What's the problem? Because Rabbi Eliezer said she gets burning, and while she's in her father-in-law's home, she's going to get. While she's in her father's home, she's in a rusa, she gets burning. That works. And while she's in her father-in-law's home, she gets stoning. So that works with the statement of Rabbi Eliezer. So Mazka for Rabbi Chanina. So Rabbi Chanina challenges this explanation of Rava. Rabbi Shimon b'Sreifa Kamer. You're saying that according to Rabbi Shimon, if she's fully married, she gets stoning, but we learned that Rabbi Shimon says she gets burning even if she's married. So it doesn't work. You change Rabbi Shimon's position. We go back to the position of the Rabbanan, say that she gets burning while she's Nesua and Skila while she's Arusa. But it doesn't work with the text of Rabbi Eliezer. So we have to say Ve'ipoch. We have to change the text. It's a Via Beskila while she's still in her father's home. That means as in Arusa, she gets Skila. That's Chamea Besreifa. And while she's in her father's home, she gets burning. And the reason why it says in her father's home, instead of just saying the proper text and doesn't say Arusa Nesua, Sircha Ba'almanaka, because the earlier part of the text said Avia, so it's just attached to it. A Sircha is an adhesion on the lungs, but here it means it's attached because they were using that language already. So we have to say he used inconsistent language and we changed the text. And we used unusual language and we have to change the text. So Amar Nachman Amar Rav Baravu Amar Rav Halacha Kedeshach Ravin Mishmei Rav Yosi Barav Chanina. It says the law is like the best way to interpret Rabbi Eliezer's position is like Ravin sent in the name of Rabbi Yossi bar Rabbi Chanina. Remember, what did Ravin say? Go back to what we said. This is the first of the four explanations. And he says, the way he said the Mishnah is like the Rabbanon. And the Rabbanon who say that if she's fully married, she gets Sreifa. And if she's not, if she's in Arusa, she gets Skila. And the Rabbanon are just, and Rabbi Eliezer, it was teaching us the halacha, what's above and what's below. And that was the halacha, but it's like the Rabbanon. Then you have to say Lamala Mata. So it comes along. I'm Rav Yosef. Why are you telling us the halacha is like Ravin in the name of Rabbi Yossi? Hilchot Mashicha, meaning to say, what are we talking about? It's not practical today. That we don't execute anybody today. So why are you pasking halacha ma'isa? Like somebody comes, let's say somebody come up to the Rav after davening and says, halacha ma'isa, do we give her straight for a skill? What are you talking about? We don't execute anybody today. Why are you saying this is the halacha? Are you asking halacha pasking halacha for the time of the Mashiach? We don't do that. So Amar Abaya Meliata, what are you talking about? You're saying we shouldn't shchitas kachim while listening hilchasa. Well, listening, should we not learn about Kodshim, about Karbanos in general? Because Hilchasal Mashiach is not relevant? Of course we have to know what the halacha is. Josh v'kabel schar, we have to study to receive reward. Achinami Josh v'kabel schar. Just study to receive reward. So the Gemara says, no. Hachai kamri. No, this is what we mean to say. Hilchasa lamali. Stugir d'shmaita halacha kamar. So why does he need to say the halacha? Stugir d'shmaita halacha kamer. So he says, this is what I meant to say when I say Hilchasel Mashiach. Why does Rav need to say that halacha is like Ravin? Sugya d'shmait halacha kamer. Is this a sugya that refers to a halachic matter, whether you're liable or exempt, that you need to pass? And you say both according to Ravina and Ravin, they both say that Rabbi Eliezer holds like the Rabbanon, and then Arusa gets skiwa and Nesua gets reifa. And so their only machlokes is how to explain the wording of the Mishnah. This is not a case of halacha. This is sugya d'shmaita. So that's what my question was. This is not. He says this is. That's what I said. What are you talking about halacha? This is like, what's the best way to read the Mishnah? That's what we're going to ask the Mashiach. But it's not halacha. So my Rabbi Shmuel, what's this position of Rabbi Shmuel that we cited above? This third position. The Tanya we learned in the Brisa. We're going to cite another Brisa. Bas ishkoin kisecha was notes binar binarav Arusa. It says in the pasuk says when there's a daughter of a Kohen that she starts to have adultery, that refers to a Nara and she is betrothed. That calls him a It's talking about a Nara and she is still betrothed. She gets burning. So I tell her, but Nara via Arusa. Oh, I know I feel in Nisua. What are you talking about? Rishon's position is who's the one who gets burnt? The Arusa gets burnt. Really? Everybody else is in the position that's only when she's fully married. So Talmud Omer v'ish asher yinaf. If Eish Israel Mosi Masa no Eva no Efes, a man who will be adultery with the wife of his friend, they'll both get put to death. Hakol Hayubikol Hanoif Nefes. All the women, even the daughter of the Kohen, are included in the adultery. Hotzi Hakosev Ba'as Israel. So why does it say Ba'as Israel? Beskila, because it says in the one who's betrothed gets stoning. To tell us Bas Kohen B'Sreifa. So why does it say the pasuk is general category? Why does it say the Bas Israel to tell us that the daughter of a Kohen will get Sreifa? And that's what this verse is referring to. That if she's adulterous by betrothal, she gets burning. And that's the position of Rabbi Shmuel. Ma kishahotzi hakasav es Bas Israel skila arusa v'onasua. Kishahotzi hakasav as Kohen Sreifa arusa v'onasua. So that's why he says Rabbi Shmuel's position is that the arusa gets Sreifa. And the Nesua gets chenek. Zomamel, and then the Brisa brings another halacha. We had said Zomamel bo'aleh b'kol v'asisem lo kasher zomam. The words, those who try to impeach her and her husband, they don't get her punishment. They get chenek. They just get strangulation. So the Gemara says bo'aleh my kasher zamamika. What are you talking about? The one who she was adulterous. What does that have to do with kasher zamam? So the way we read the text on the Brisa says those who try to impeach her are including the same punishment as her one who had relations. The third that they get chenek. How do we know this? Because by the ones who tried to impeach her, it says we should do to them The false witnesses, we said we should do to them like they tried to do to his brother. The so now like he tried to do his sister, who is going to get the burning according to Rabbi Shmuel when she's in Arusa. That's the position of Rabbi Shmuel. Rabbi Akiva says, Rabbi Akiva argues with Rabbi Shmuel. Again, what's Rabbi Shmuel's position? Rabbi Shmuel is the Arusa, the daughter of a Kohen is in Arusa, gets Sreifa, and the Nesua gets Chemek. Rabbi Akiva says, Achas Arusa v'achas Nesua yatzos Sreifa. Rabbi Akiva says, like Rabbi Shimon, that both the Arusa and the Nesua get Sreifa. Yacho afilu penuya. I might think even the single woman gets burning, the single woman who's a daughter of a Kohen. No, Nemer kan avia v'nemer lalon avia malalon nusam zika sabal afkan nusam zika sabal. We saw this earlier, that since it says the word avia in both places, it's only if she married that she gets this punishment. Amol Rabbi Yishmael, so Rabbi Yishmael says to Rabbi Akiva, imal lalon nara v'hi arusa afkan nari arusa. Maybe it's only if she's the nara, while she's in arusa. Amol Rabbi Akiva, Yishmael, Rabbi Akiva says, Yishmael achi, Yishmael my brother, Bas ubas anidorish. Since it says bas ish kohen with an extra vav, it means that both the nesu and the streifa. Amar v'chinei atah dorish bas ubas. It's a beautiful line. It says because you're going to give such a chiddush. It says bas ubas, the extra vav. Notzi zoa streifa. You're so sure this extra vav means that we're going to burn her to death. And im mashma lavias and nesua lavias penuya. And also, once you're saying it comes to include even the married woman, then include even a single woman. The im mashma lahotias penuya. And if you're saying it doesn't include the single woman, lahotias nesua, then exclude the married woman. Rabbi Kiva says no. Ahani gzeira shavel miyute penuya. Ahani balasubas. L'Rabba says in this. He says the gzeira shavel comes to exclude the penuya and to include the fully married one. Rabbi Shmuel Savar the ka'amar leibas. Ubats shmamina hadarbe migzera shavar. So from the fact, and Rabbi Shmuel's other position, that from the fact that Rabbi Kiva darish bas ubas, so he says Rabbi Kiva must have returned from his gzera shava, and like he responded to him. I think we have to stop here because we have to daven, obviously. So we'll go upstairs now to daven.